Right, today we're going to be doing the required practical for the electrolysis topic. And I'll be doing electrolysis on 4 different solutions. First of all, I'll be doing electrolysis on copper chloride solution, then copper sulphate, sodium chloride solution, then sodium sulphate solution. I have my power pack with the cables and the crocodile clips attached. So first of all, we'll do electrolysis on copper chloride solution. I'll connect up my electrodes to the power pack, making sure they're not touching one another, and then I'll turn the power pack on. And immediately I can see bubbles are forming at one of my electrodes. I can also see, and if I lift it out of a solution, it's easier to see the pink, solid, shiny metal that is formed on my negative electrode. At the positive electrode, I've got bubbles of gas forming. And if I take a piece of litmus paper and hold it over the positive electrode, then I will notice that in time, the litmus paper will be bleached. And already the bottom of the litmus paper is starting to go white. Okay? And that bleaching of the litmus paper tells me that chlorine gas is being produced. Okay? So I shall turn the power pack off, return that to over there. And the smell of chlorine gas is quite strong from doing the electrolysis on copper chloride. Next, I'll do electrolysis on copper sulphate. And again, as with last time, be filling in our results table as we go. So a reminder for copper chloride solution. My observations at the positive electrode were that I had bubbles of gas, which bleached my litmus paper, turned my litmus paper white. And the element formed there must have been chlorine. Negative electrode, well, that was the electrode that had that, I didn't see any gas produced, but I did see a bright, shiny, pink layer of solid. Well, that's copper metal. The element formed there was copper metal. Okay, this time we're doing copper sulphate. And like last time, I will connect up my electrodes to my power pack. And turn it on. And once more, I've got bubbles of gas forming at the positive electrode. And once more, I have a pink layer building up on my negative electrode. I am holding litmus paper down where the bubbles of gas are forming on the electrode. I can't smell chlorine. It's a very distinctive smell. And there is no bleaching happening. If I turn my power pack off, lift it up so you can see clearly the shiny pink material that's now formed on the electrode. So for copper sulphate, okay, my observations were at the positive electrode, I had bubbles of gas formed. They did not bleach the litmus paper. Okay. If they'd bleached litmus paper, I would have known that it was chlorine being produced, but it didn't bleach litmus paper. And therefore I know that the element being produced at the positive electrode was oxygen gas. The production of the pink solid on my electrode with copper sulphate again tells me that at the negative electrode I formed copper. This time we're going to do electrolysis on sodium chloride solution. Once more, we will connect up our electrodes. And we'll switch it on. Okay, immediately I've got bubbles forming, not just at the positive electrode, but also at the negative electrode. Okay, so bubbles of gas forming at both electrodes. And when I put my litmus paper, holding it at the positive electrode, and already I can see it starting to pale. And it's gradually turning white at the end there. Remember that using litmus paper, what I'm testing for here is the presence of chlorine gas, which is confirmed by the litmus paper turning white. It's been bleached. Okay. Just going to turn that off. Now I've got no metal formed on either of the electrodes. Instead, I just observed bubbling at both electrodes. So, my conclusions here for sodium chloride solution are, first of all, observation. At the positive electrode, I had bubbles and bleaching of litmus paper. So then I can conclude that the element formed was chlorine. At the negative electrode, I also had bubbles formed. There was no metal formed, and I can conclude that the element formed was hydrogen gas. Okay, my final electrolysis in this required practical is sodium sulphate solution. As before, I'm going to connect up. And turn on. And once again, I've got bubbles of gas formed. They've taken a little while to appear, but we can see them now clearly forming at each electrode. Again, testing the gas that's being formed at my positive electrode, testing it with litmus paper, because if that turns white, then that tells me that I must have chlorine being produced. There is no whitening of my litmus paper by that gas. It's going to turn the power off. Okay, so in the electrolysis of sodium sulphate solution, my observations are, at the positive electrode, I had bubbles of gas formed. It did not bleach litmus paper, so therefore I can assume that the element produced at the positive electrode was oxygen. At the negative electrode, my observations again were bubbling. My element formed was hydrogen gas.